Welcome back to DajibanLife, and as you can see, if you've been following me on Instagram, you saw that my van got hit by a hit and run, a stolen vehicle. And I know that because here, I'll show you some photos now. But here you can see the car. It was like a Lexus SUV. Apparently it was stolen when they ran the plates. The plates were stolen off of a different car, and then they ran the VIN number, and apparently it was a different owner, and they had reported the stolen. When I was sleeping when it happened, and it was around 4:30 in the morning, because I remember as soon as the car hit me, I woke up and I checked my phone to see what time it was. Obviously I was a little bit out of it, and struggled to get out. It took me about a few minutes to get out of my van. And when I got out, there was two guys standing in the middle of the street. One of them said he was the neighbor, that he heard the crash and he came out to see if everyone was okay. And the other guy, he claimed he was the passenger, but I think he was actually the driver. And so I asked where the driver was, and he said the passenger, supposedly the passenger, said that the driver had gone to go find some water or something. And I was like, okay. And so looking at the situation, obviously it's a police call. So I called the cops, and I was talking to them on the phone, and then the passenger was like, hey, I'm gonna go and go look for the driver. And I was like, I don't know, man, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you just walk away from the scene of an accident, you know what I mean? Like, that's illegal. You can't leave. And he was like, yeah, I'll be right back. I'm just gonna go look, because I saw where he went and whatever. And at that time I was talking to the cops on the phone at the same time, and the cops asked me, like, what kind of car it was and whatever, and I couldn't tell, just from standing next to where the passenger was standing. He was standing like on the sidewalk towards the front of his car, and so I went around the back to check the model number and stuff, since the front was messed up, and the dude disappeared. And so basically that dude never came back, and the cops went searching for him, whatever, couldn't find him. And it turns out it was a stolen vehicle with stolen plates, and this is what happened. And so you can see here, there's still pieces of the other car stuck. It won't come out. Yeah, and then I haven't really assessed the damage, so let's go ahead and take a look. Obviously, it's messed up. This is probably not gonna buff out, as someone said on Instagram. This is probably not fixable. I mean, it is technically fixable, but I don't think it's worth the effort and the trouble. But yeah, let's go ahead and assess the damage underneath. So under here, if you see, it doesn't look too bad. This part of the frame is bent, obviously, and so this thing, what do you call it? What do you call it? I'm so bad with part names. But anyway, this piece right here is probably bent inwards a little bit, which changes the spring, like the curvature of it and stuff, the placement. And I hear a lot of knocking when I drive around now, so that's probably the shackle knocking up against the frame that got bent inwards, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure the frame is bent a little bit as well. I can tell because if you look over here, so I know this has nothing to do with anything, but the exhaust tips, they've moved around actually a bit, but before it was rubbing up against the body. So there's no reason, when I set the exhaust, I set it like, a good distance away from the body. And so when the exhaust was rubbing up against it, it means like, stuff is shifted around. I'm sure as I've driven about probably 100 miles or so since the accident. And so things have probably shifted around and settled and whatever. But let's look under here on this side. This side looks okay, but you can see the body, right? It's straight. It's straighter over here, the frame in the back. But on the other side, yeah, that's not straight at all. You know what I mean? That's bent inwards quite a bit. And so this shackle probably moved forward a bit. So that's throwing some stuff off. I mean, the tire placement is still pretty good. Like, it's right centered in the wheel well. Obviously the wheel well kind of got smashed forward as well, so that might have something to do with it. So the axle might be tweaked a little on this side forward a little bit, so it might be cocked at an angle slightly. I mean, I haven't really noticed it while driving that much, but in this side probably should be about the same. So the wheel gap is about the same on this side. So basically my conclusion is that the van is probably pretty unsafe to drive, just because the suspension is a little bit tweaked. I mean, I've been driving around, it still runs and drives fine. The engine seems a little bit rougher, so that's something. But as far as drivability goes, it still runs and drives, but it's probably not ideal, right? It's not the safest thing on the road. I mean, it wasn't to begin with, but at least it was better than stock, I'm assuming, you know, sort of. But now maybe not so much. So it's just a matter of time before things start to fall apart, just because when things aren't really aligned correctly and stuff, you know, there's extra wear and tear on certain parts, different stresses, you know, the spring may break now, all kinds of stuff might happen. So I think I'm running on limited time at this point. I think the plan is for me to just, you know, continue living in the van as much as I can until I get my truck fixed. That's the main priority at this point, to fix my truck, get it up and running again. And once that's running, I'm probably gonna have to you know, go back to apartment life, which I call rent work slavery, where it's just a cycle of working to pay rent, just to work some more to pay more rent. You know, it's just a cycle of slavery. So modern day slavery. I mean, not to take away anything from actual slaves, you know what I mean? It's not the same, but you know, it's really hard to move ahead in life when you're renting, just because you're paying, you know, and you're giving money to somebody else. You know, you're making them profit while you're not profiting at all. I mean, you have a place to live, great, yeah, but you know, how do you save money from there? Because especially where in the area that I live, the rent's so high that after paying rent and stuff and utilities and, you know, eating food and whatever, there's very little left. I'd be lucky if I saved like $1,000 a month, which is actually kind of a lot, right? But $1,000 a month, you know, after a year, we'll have like 20 or 12, 10 grand, something like that. Like, what are you gonna do with 10 grand? You know, and you can't buy a house with 10 grand. You know what I mean? Houses are crazy out here, at least. They're like, starting, it's like $400,000 to $500,000. You know what I mean? So it'll take me 40 years to save up enough to buy a house. I know there's mortgages and stuff, and you can pay, you know, get on a payment plan and whatever. But it's just sort of ridiculous the way that society is progressing, and it's developing into this, you know, I've read in the news that a bunch of big corporations and hedge funds are buying up properties at like $50,000 over asking price, and they're trying to turn things into a rent economy. You know what I mean? Where the normal average person can't afford to buy a house anymore. And so there will be very few landowners and property owners, and those owners will just collect rent. And it's just, for them, it's just pure profit. Because once they pay off their mortgage, right, then it's just all free money for them. And, you know, it's squeezing out the little guy, you know what I mean? And so I've seen it coming for a while, and that's why I decided to do, you know, the whole van life thing, to try to escape that. But it looks like, I don't know, this is the second hit and run I've been involved with too. Like, the first one was about 5 or 6 years ago. I owned a 370 back then, because I was in the military. I made good money, I didn't have any payments. So then I bought myself a nice 370Z, you know, nice sports car to drive around. And then one day, you know, going through an intersection, the other dude ran a red light, and I remember, because it was at nighttime, and I remember seeing him pop into the intersection, right? Because it was one of those kind of blind intersections where there was, it was like a retaining wall or something, where I couldn't see anyone coming on that street. But he popped out in front of me, and I was doing about 50. I could see his window, right? And he was going like this, you know what I mean? Like, he knew. Like, that dude would have died if I had not swerved. So I swerved real hard, and I hit the back of his, he was in like an old SUV, and so I hit the back of his SUV, spun him out. You know, he probably did like a 720 or something, I don't know. I couldn't see because the airbag popped, and so, you know, I was kind of disoriented. I came to a stop. I was hoping I wouldn't hit the light pole, or the what do you call it, the signal, the signal pole, but I didn't. I stopped just short of that, you know, next to the curb. And then once I got out of the car and looked around, the dude was gone. And I was like, what the fuck, you know? And so there happened to be like a guy who was walking on the street. He was standing there and he's like, hey dude, you alright? And I'm like, yeah. I was like, where's the other guy? And he's like, oh yeah, he took off. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, he took off. And I was like, what the fuck, bro? Like, that's so messed up. Not just because like he took off, he was a hit and run accident, right? But because like, I would have killed him. Like, he would have been dead, bro. Like, if I hadn't swerved, I saved his life. And he thanked me, you know, for saving his life by running away, you know. Not even a thank you. Like, even if he had just said, you know, stayed and said, hey bro, I don't have insurance, bro, and like, you know, I gotta get out of here kind of thing, or whatever. But I really appreciate you not, you know, for you turning your wheels and not hitting me, you know, the way I was you know, was coming. I don't know, man. But he took off, and I never got anything out of that, and I lost that car. It wasn't totaled, but I didn't have the funds at the time to fix it, and so, you know, I tried to hold on to it as long as I could, but eventually I just had to let it go, and I let it go for pretty much nothing, and so that was a huge loss on my end. And that hurt a lot. Like, I lost probably like 20 grand at least in that interaction. And so yeah, this time, you know, I'm really sad, I'm depressed, because, you know, I wanted to make this van really clean. Like, I was gonna paint it. I know it looks like shit right now, right? But eventually I was gonna work on it, you know, little bit by little bit, and, you know, clean everything up and paint it and make it look real nice. But I guess that's just not in the cards for me, you know what I mean? I guess living the van life isn't my primary purpose. I know what I should be doing. I know what my purpose should be in life, and so maybe it's a sign. You know, it's the second van in 2 years, pretty much. I'm coming up on my 2nd-year anniversary inside of Dajiban in October, and it's 1 month out at this point. And so right at the 2-year mark, you know, like, this stuff happens. 2 vans in 2 years, you know, it's got to be a sign. And it's just so random too. Like, who gets hit by a hit and run driver 2 times in a row? You know what I mean? Like, that's like getting hit by lightning twice. You know what I mean? It's very rare. It's a rare occurrence. So I can only stay positive and think that it's, you know, maybe, you know, a sign from above, rather than just, you know, I could just, you know, be like, I have bad luck, which I do, but feel sorry for myself. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to move on. So the plan is for me to fix my truck and get an apartment for about a year, probably, and then see kind of where it goes from there. I'll probably try to keep the van, because it's really it's a shame, man. This thing only has 90,000 miles. You know, everything works on it now. The electrical is a little bit suspect lately. It's been kind of acting weird, but I could probably just, you know, fix that and whatever. But now it's kind of not worth it, now that you know, I even put all this crap on it, the polyurethane. What a waste, man. That was like almost $1,000 worth of polyurethane, and now it's just trash. So you know, I think ideally I'd want to keep the vans, both of them, and then since the driveline in my old van sucks, I would probably take the engine and the transmission out of this one and swap it over, right? But I don't have the space to do that at this point. I can't do that in the street. It's a lot of work too. I don't have that kind of time right now, and so maybe in the future it might come back. You know, the vans might come back, and, you know, because, man, I just installed the intake too, cold air, and have everything running perfectly. You know, like, I've just replaced the radiator. Oh man, it's such it hurts so much, man. Just the amount of effort and work that I put in, the money that I put into it, just to make it reliable, you know, like a nice place to live, you know what I mean? Just, you know, to save some money so I can get ahead in life, you know what I mean? But man, I don't know, it's just not working out for me. So you know, whatever. I guess that's just, you know, my path or whatever, I guess. And so yeah, like I was saying, I'll probably want to eventually do an engine and tranny swap into my old van, into that body, or if I can find another clean body, maybe pick one up for cheap, like a couple $100 or whatever, and just swap over the drivetrain, and then, you know, I guess rebuild it or something. Ideally that's what I'd want to do, but you know, I guess we'll see. I don't think I can sell this the way it is with the huge dent in the back now. I don't think anyone would want to buy it, so I can't even recoup my money that I've invested that way. So yeah, man, it just sucks. It's kind of just a huge loss. I mean, the thing is, I've pretty much broken even. In the 2 years that I've been in the van, the amount of money I would have spent in rent, like, it's definitely paid for itself, so I'm not really losing money per se. But you know, it is a huge loss in the sense that, you know, I've invested all this money into it and then I didn't really get to make any profit off of it, and so that really sort of sucks. But you know, at least I didn't lose any money. Breaking even is fine, I guess. It was an experience. It seems like unnecessary suffering though, because van life isn't easy. It's definitely something I wouldn't choose to do if I had a choice. You know what I mean? Like if it was between, hey, do you want to live in an apartment or do you want to live in a van, all things being equal, I mean, obviously I'd want to live in an apartment, right? Or a house or whatever. Like, I don't think anyone would want, you know, willingly choose the van life because it's more comfortable or whatever, right? It's not more comfortable, it's less comfortable. So definitely, had I just, you know, gotten a room somewhere or something for cheap, it would have ended up being the same thing. I would have been a lot more comfortable. But you know, those are just things I can't control. So yeah, let me know if you know, I know this is a channel about dodgy bands, but since my dodgy band is pretty much done for now, I'm not going to be working on it anymore. Any new work, you know what I mean? Until maybe I do like a drivetrain swap on, you know, and swap the vans over. But that won't be in the near future. So in the meantime, if you guys want to see me like fix my truck or whatever, let me know and I'll make videos about that. If not, then I might go silent for a while, and just, you know, figure things out. It might not be for another year or two before I get back up and running and able to work on the van, switching, you know, bodies and whatever. It just really sucks, you know. I'm really I don't know, man. It sucks. But yeah. Anyway, I guess that's it. I can do some reviews. I might make a couple more videos after this, just talking about like van life and what I think about it and what I've learned in the 2 years that I've done it, especially during the pandemic when everything was closed, during lockdowns. I mean, I have a lot of valuable information about van life now, about building out a van and what I think about that. You know, just different things I can talk about. So I might make some videos about that, but other than that, that's pretty much it. So I can do a review on the intake. I think it's actually really good, and so I'll make a separate video about the intake itself. I think it's actually increased my gas mileage, if you can believe it. So that's kind of cool. So it's definitely kind of worth the investment over time, I think. And so yeah, I mean, I blabbered on long enough. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Really, I appreciate it. I didn't think the channel would grow to like 600 subscribers at this point, which is crazy. I thought I might get 100 if I was lucky. I didn't really make this channel to make money. Obviously, I haven't monetized it yet. Yeah, man, I just wanted to put it up there just for fun and for me to look at later in life. Maybe my kids, if I have kids, they can look at it and whatever. But yeah, it's a bittersweet ending. So actually it's just all bitter. There's no sweet. So anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, and thanks for you know, thanks for riding with me during this this time. All right, well, I guess I'll see you when I see you.